Hello, welcome back to the cloud computing class. Today we will use Node.js to create a web server and a simple website. So before we start with Node.js and to see how Node.js works, how we can actually install it, we need just to understand that Node.js is not a programming language, it's a runtime environment for JavaScript. For those who don't know JavaScript, that should be fine. We'll go through this together. For me at the beginning, what I will have to do, I will just have to download Node.js, install it in my local computer so I can run it locally. I don't have to connect always to my virtual machine, upload files, right? So it should be very easy for us to run everything locally in our computer. Now, go to this nodejs.org, download this version for macOS, for myself, macOS, right? For you, you can go here in the downloads. If you are a Windows user, go here in the Windows installer. That would be the latest package that you will have to download. Another thing that we have to know is that the new version of Node.js will come always, so at the time that you are running this webinar, probably a new version will be released, so that should be fine. In any case, just download the latest version, everything should be fine. Okay, so again, Node.js is a runtime environment for JavaScript. In the old days, we just used to run JavaScript inside the browser. Now we can run outside the browser. We can use Node.js to create a web server, and this web server actually will be able to create a web service that we'll use in the next classes. For me, I installed my Node.js and I'm ready to go. I will go back to my Visual Studio Code. So just open your Visual Studio Code. Supposedly you already installed Node.js. I don't have to connect to my virtual machine. As you can see here, I just have my virtual machine here, but I didn't connect yet. I just have it like that. I will run it locally, as I said, so I will just have to save it in my own desktop, for example, or documents. So I go here, Explorer, and I will see here, I can open a folder. I will click Open a folder. I will go to my desktop, and I will create a folder called Node Application 1, not App 1. All right, so just create this name that you prefer to have. Click Create and then click Open, and then you should be able to see your folder here in Visual Studio Code. Before you do that, you can say yes here, I trust the authors, you are the author of this folder, so it should be fine. So on the left side, I can see my folder, it's empty. And what I will do, I will start by initializing my Node.js application, and I will see how I can actually create my simple web app. So let's go Terminal, New Terminal. This will open a new terminal here. I can type clear if I want to clear my screen, and I will start by running some simple commands in order to initialize my project. The first command that we'll run is called npm init, and this command will initialize a Node.js application in this folder. npm stands for Node Package Manager, and it's just a command for us to download whatever we need to have in our computer in order to run Node.js, all right? So just press enter here, and you will see that it says here, you need to add the package name. Literally, you don't have to, just press enter, version, description. I just press enter until I see, is this okay? I will just press enter, I don't have to type yes here, that's fine. The moment I see this, I can also see that there is a package.json file. And this is a small configuration file that we will use, and we'll learn about this slowly, how we can actually customize it. All right, so I'm here in my terminal. I will clear my screen. And the next command that I will need to do is to install, using npm again, so npm install, the package that is called Express. So the package that is called Express is a small package provided by Node.js, where we can use a specific, let's say, format of code in order to create a server very fast. So we'll see how we can actually create super fast code to create web services. So just type npm install express, press enter. It will take a minute, and now we installed this Express package. I need to also install another package. I will just type npm install. This package is called NodeMon. I will press enter, and this package will help me to restart my server every time I want to change something, so I don't have to stop the server, start the server, right? In many cases, it's a kind of repeatable task that I need to do many times because I always change my code, so I will use this library to help me to do these things. Alright, this is also installed, and one last thing before we start coding is to do a small configuration here. I will go to my package.json that is already open. If you don't have it open, just click here and it will open. And I will say, whenever I type start, I run the command start, I will use the nodemon tool, nodemon, to start my application that is called app.js. Alright, so this small script here will start my server. I will show you in a second what is happening behind the scenes. Just type this, save this, alright, or file save, or you can just Control S or Command S in Macintosh, and the package.json is now completed. Now let me close this, and I will start by creating a small app.js that will be my first application. Right, just right click here on the inside this page, or you can just click on this add new file, and I will call it app.js. So this is an app.js. Alright, so the first thing for me, it will be here to import my libraries, create a root. A root is like something like a URL. Alright, so imagine, for example, www.cloud.com Stelios. Alright, this is my URL. Okay, and I will create my root, and then I will create a server to start this root. So three things, simple things. Right, so let's import the libraries. Alright, so I will just type here import the libraries, and the first library that I have to import is called obviously the Express library. So I will create a variable, I will call it const express. This is an Express application, and this will require the Express package. Alright, so I imported the Express library. Then the second step, it will be to create an application. Okay, in this application it will be an Express application. So every time we start, we just have to start with these two statements, import the library Express, and then create an Express application. Whenever we are actually in this file, we can start now creating roots. For example, I can say here, every time somebody hits this URL, alright, and for example, it will be the home page of my URL, alright, so I say app.get, there will be a request and a response. Now, the request means that the user will request something, right? So the user will actually press and enter in the browser. This makes a request to us, and the server will respond with something. So the server will send something back to the browser. All right. So we create a request and the response. This is the format. Don't worry about the format. As we more use it, we'll more be let's say confident. And whenever there is a request and a response, I will send back. I will respond back. I will send a response, and this response will say you are in your home page. Alright, so I'm in my home page, and that's it. Now I will just go to my page, and it will be my home page. The final step is to create a server, and I say, my server listens at port 3000. For example, the Apache server we said last time, it listens at port 80. This service will listen at port 3000. And then here I will just have a callback in my listen, and I will just write in the console. Don't worry, this is just an example to show here in my console. The server is up and running. So it's just a message that I want to see is up and running, just to make sure that my server is up and running. All right, so that would be all. That's the three steps that I have always to follow. First step, import the library. Second step, right, create a root. And the third step is to start the server. We will adapt this, we'll make it better, but let's start with the basic steps. Alright, so I will go here, I will clear my screen, I'm in my terminal now, and I will say npm start. So this command will hopefully, alright, it works, start my server. It says the server is up and running, and this is a message that I log in my console using this command. Now I will go back to my Google Chrome in my case, and I will say, localhost at port 3000. This is my localhost page, and just you can see here, I can see the data, right? So you are in your home page, just a message in my case. So localhost represents our IP in the virtual machine, what we call the public IP of the virtual machine. What I can do here, I can create another root, all right? So I will say, okay, let's say I want to go to my movies root. And wherever there is a request and the response, I will send back with a res.send. Res.send, you are in movies. And if I save this, you will see that this restarts here in my terminal. And this means that if I go back, I will just press an enter here. I'm in my home page. If I go to my movies, I'm in the movies page. So I have two different routes. Obviously, as I go and I develop more things here, imagine this file will get huge, and I don't want this. I want to keep my files small and sleeky so I can actually always go there and refactor my code, make it always look better. So what we'll do is to move the routes to a different file. Alright, so let's move the routes to a different file. So every route has its own file and its own functionality, because imagine the route movies, I can search for a movie, I can insert a movie, delete a movie, update a movie, I can do whatever I like. Supposingly I have movies somewhere in my database. Right, so what I will do, I will just get rid of this here. Okay, I will leave the one that says you are in your home page just to have it. Okay, and I will open a new. I will go here on the left side and I will create a new folder. In this case, not file, folder is the second one. I will call it roots, and inside the root folder, I can open it here as it's empty. Okay, I can right click here and say create a new file, and I will call it movies.js. So name the file as you expect to have your URL, okay, your root in my case. So I created my file and now I will create a root. Again, what I have to do is I have to say, this is an Express application, so I require the Express package. Okay, and this is not an application. Now this movie is a root, okay, so this is actually a router to something, all right, so somehow will be redirected to this movies file, and this also is an Express router, so you can just type router and here and it should be fine. So I created a movies and I just initialized at the beginning, again import the libraries that we need to have, and here wherever you come to this router, I can just type router get. And here what we'll get, whenever we come to this movies router, I don't have to add here movies, because supposedly we are already in the movies, right? So it's just suppose that this is movies, this is what it means. Again, you will come with a request and the response. And what I will do is I will send you back what I will send you. I will send you back response with a message. It will say you are in movies. But you are in movies inside a router now, so you are in a different file, right? Okay, that's my first part of the movies, and the final thing before we finish here, we have to export this. We have to say movies export the router. All right, we have to always at the end of the day. Oops, I don't have to add this. At the end of the day to export my router. Okay, again I created a root. I call it movies. I imported my libraries in the first 2 lines, let's say, created my path, my root, and then I export this so the app.js will be able to find it. So I will go back to my app.js, and here I will just press an enter to leave some space. I have to say to my app, whenever you want to go to the movies, go to the movies file. It's just linking the app.js with the movies. Right, what I will do, I will create a movie root. Okay, so whenever you want to go to the movie root, and you will have to go to this file and it says require. I need to find the file. The file is inside the roots and it's called movies. So I will just say go to the roots, okay, and then go to the movies. You can see, I can see it directly here. So the movie root will get you directly to this file. And then I will say here use for whenever you want to go to movies, whenever the user says movies, go to this movie root. Go directly to the movie root. So I save this. I can see again everything starts again, restarting the server using the Nodemon tool. And just to remind you, the Nodemon tool is here in the package. And we say, here, whenever we have start, I run the Nodemon. All right. Just let me close this. I don't need it. And just go back to my app.js. Here I just created a root I call it movie root, and I say use this movie. This statement, we call it middleware. Okay, it's very important because these middlewares are in the intermediate steps that we can create to redirect to different files. All right, so let's say that the second step for us always will be to create a middleware, the third step will be to create a root, and the fourth step to create the server, start the server. We don't have always to create middlewares, but it's a good practice in order to manage these scenarios that we have a lot of different things in our application. Probably we'll have, right? Okay, so let's go back now to the Google Chrome and try it. So in the movies, I should be in the router. I'm not anymore inside my app file. But as a user, I don't see anything here, any change. I can say, go back to your homepage. You are in your homepage. Okay, I'm back in my file now. And what I can do, I can say here, okay, imagine, let's say there is a movie. In my case, is The Hobbit. And this is the root now. It's supposed to be the URL, localhost, movies, and inside movies there is a Hobbit. So I can say here, I have to just create the request response. Let me build here my path, and wherever you come here, I will say now you are in Hobbit movie. You are not in your movies, you are in Hobbit, so this means you enter one level inside. Just save this, go back here, and let's go to movies. Movies. And now let's go to Hobbit. And I'm in Hobbit. So I can create my own paths here, organize my paths, how I want to redirect my users inside my application, all right? Although this is a simple application that I just render text in my browser, imagine here it will be a web service that will provide data and access to a database. That's the step that we'll complete in the next session. All right, let me go back, and now I have my app, and my app has a root to movies, and the movies, we have the home movies, and we have the Hobbit inside the movies. Now, if I have another player in my application, let's say we have movies and we have users. Now, how I will do this? I will go back to my roots. I can see here my movies file. And what I will do is I will create another file that I will call it users.js. All right, so let's call it like that. Again, here, what I have to do, I have to create a constant and say, this is an Express app. Express app, you can easily copy paste from the other. Just type it one more time for you guys. Require Express. At the beginning, always try to type as more as you can. Don't copy paste so you can remember at the end of the day what you did more. All right. So constant Express, and then as you can see here, I need a root. All right. We say here we need a root here, so I can go back to movies. In my case, constant router. Okay, this is the same, right? As you can see, the two first lines are the same for every router that I create, so I can copy paste in my case. And all right, so I did that. I can also see that, I can create the roots here, and I have to export the router. So always at the end of the day, I need to export the router. And here I will just have to create my root. So I will say router.get, okay? And in this router, I will have a path, all right, to the users. And I will say, you are here, and request response. I will send you back to the users. In this case, I will rest.send. Okay, you are in users. All right, you are in users in this case. Let's create also a user called Stelios just to finish this. Get, and I will say, there is a user called Stelios, and here, whenever you are, again, request the response. All right. I can control also the requests and the response. We'll see how we do these things in the future, but slowly. We only now care about sending data back to the browser. And here I will say, you are in Stelios homepage. And I can now just save this. All right, so let me just fix this, save it. Okay, and it should be fine. So I created my movies. I created my users. I didn't finish yet. Why? Because I created the users, but I didn't link it yet with the app.js. I have to do it now. So what I will do, I have to create another here constant. I will call it user root. And this user root requires we need to redirect ourselves as we are in Linux. This is why sometimes it's good to know Linux. So, we can go to roots, and then inside the roots we can go now to users, right? I don't want movies is already there. And then I will say use whenever you want to go to users, something like that. Users, let's call it, because we call it movies, go to the user root. All right. And every time you want to go there, you will get redirected. There is an error in the users.js. I will find it in a second. Probably I did an error here by forgetting to close parentheses, but I will find it. Okay, so don't worry if you see an error here. In many cases, we might see an error. Just read the error here, right? So always, it will show you where it is, okay? In many cases. If not, just go back and try to find out what you did last and what you might need to change. Okay, so the users is here, the app is here. I just created my new middleware, save it, go back, and say now, all right, this is the movies. And let's go now to the users. These are the users. And I have also a user called Stelios. Imagine here I can extract data from the user. So I created some roots, movies and users. Imagine these are two different functionalities of my system. And I was able, at the end of the day, to render some data on the browser. Now, what I would recommend is to play a little bit around here, create your own roots, maybe try to create another different root here, link it with your app.js, be a little bit more familiar with Node.js. In any case, since there are a lot of things here, we will slowly build up our confidence on Node.js, and we will see more examples of what we can do with Node.js. That would be all for this session. I will see you soon again in the next session.